What's up, guys?
As promised, we're back with a Big Ten, or I should have said something else, but whatever. Big Ten breakdown. I was gonna try to go like
Big
big
Ten,
breakdown.
Big Ten extravaganza
Yes.
breakdown palooza.
It's not okay. We say Big Ten, but really not doing the Big Ten. We're just focusing on four teams that we want to.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically,
Well,
we
top four
just
teams. So I mean,
yeah, we kind of like gave the double bird to the West because they don't have any relevance, even though three of them are ranked now. Okay. In case you missed it, 20, 21, and 22. Penn State's not ranked anymore. That
yeah,
sucks. I just realized that.
yeah.
But they're ranked in the AP.
Sorry.
See, this is what blows my mind. They're ranked in the AP, but they're not in the college football playoff. But I trust the college football playoff more. However, I don't think Minnesota or Wisconsin really deserve to be ranked. And I, like, I don't know what's going on anymore.
It's out the window at this point. Honestly,
I give up. I give up.
Uh,
I give up trying to understand. I'm done.
It's just like one of those things where it's like at this point. Ooh, I didn't even. Oh yeah, Iowa lost their last two games. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Minnesota
Because remember,
top dogs. What's up?
are they really the top in the West right now?
Yeah, they're 6-2, and then everyone. Oh wait, wait.
Iowa's 6-2, but I think both of their losses came in division
So that probably explains why they're so low in the
because
West.
Minnesota lost to us. Remember,
Yeah,
so that's not in division. So I don't know if that plays a role at all.
that might.
God, if we have to face Minnesota again, I'm gonna lose it.
The current setup is Minnesota, Wisconsin, Purdue, Iowa, and I'm assuming those two losses are because of their in conference.
Okay, so here's what needs to happen for Ohio State. Minnesota being ranked now helps. It wasn't a ranked win when it happened.
Yeah,
but it helps. Penn State needs to figure the shit out and get ranked again. I don't care if it's number 25. They need to figure it out. They need to get ranked. Purdue needs to upset Michigan State.
I agree.
So Purdue is ranked by the time Ohio State plays them next week.
And then we look like gods.
And then we go on and beat Iowa, who's ranked and has a top-rated defense in the Big Ten championship.
Winning out though.
No, that's the issue.
Yeah, because Iowa's got Northwestern, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Illinois.
Okay, well, they should win three of those four, but the Minnesota one is what we're going to circle.
Yeah, that
right.
I don't know. Northwestern might have taken some roids before, and
I don't believe in Northwestern.
Yeah.
I don't believe in
myself that
the state of Illinois. State of Illinois, I don't believe in. Those two teams can just. We'll revisit you next year. Sorry.
Yeah. Better luck. Yeah, you got some stuff to work on, but
better luck never
on that one.
Okay, well, to focus on the East, because we kind of just did a West, even though we said we weren't gonna do a West. Yeah. We'll break down the Minnesota Iowa because that would probably be a good game when they get there. Yeah. But focus on the East. You know, the beast that is the East every year. Yeah. In case you missed it, Sparty hosted them Wolverines and just chopped them up. They got some new fur coats and fur hats. I thought it was go green, go white.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Michigan State fan. Go green, go white.
Yeah, there you go. Because it's you can't take what Kentucky does and just do it with another color. Go big blue is UK. No, I'm not going to say
Michigan?
It. I'm not going to say
Michigan's the same thing.
No, it's not. There's no big.
Oh, go blue.
Yeah, see, no, right, I can't say that. Yeah. I can't say that. I will burst into flames if I say that. My mother will kill me if I say that. Probably, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you know she will.
Don't tell her I said it. She might not let us hang out anymore.
Yeah. You don't mess with the mama bear.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. But in case you missed it, the battle for the Paul Bunyan Trophy, which I mistakenly called on Saturday. I looked at Jordan. I said, they're playing for, she's like, this is a rivalry game, right? I was like, yeah, they play for the Paul Brown Trophy.
The Browns player?
The Bengals coach.
Oh, what? I don't know these guys.
Oh, man. So no, it's not the Paul Brown. It's the Paul Bunyan. It's an actual wooden carving of Paul Bunyan himself, which is actually really cool.
Yeah.
In case you guys didn't know, the winning team, they party with him and they put their helmet on him. So it's a good thing none of them have broken it yet. But Michigan State did hold on, okay, in a thrilling game. I don't know if you watched it at all, but it was actually really fun to watch.
So I was helping some friends move at that time, but in the car ride, I was able to catch a few snippets of the game. And so I caught like the first like 3 scores. It was 10-7 Michigan. And I was like, all right, Sparty, I'm gonna need you guys to pick it up real quick. And then I checked in later and Michigan was still up. I was like, okay. So I kind of lost faith at that point. And then I looked back at it about like after the game, like later that night when I was watching the
Mhm.
Ohio State game. And I was like, oh my God, it happened. Guys, it
Oh,
happened.
I watched it live and it was to break it down very quickly, and then I can, we can dive deeper into what all the numbers actually tell us, and what this means, for both Mel Tucker and John Harbaugh. I think it's very telling for both coaches. One who is now, are they on the hot seat? One that is now, having a turnaround like no other. But looking at the end of the first quarter, 10-0 Michigan. At halftime, it was 23-14 Michigan. So by 9, you're feeling good. And then you know what happened? Another second half collapse.
Yeah.
We talked about it. It happened against Rutgers, happened against Nebraska. It just appears that this Michigan team cannot come out in the second half.
Yeah.
Cannot hold a lead in the second half. Like either they hold on to win or they blow it. And that's exactly what happened. All the credit goes to Michigan State for fighting. I mean, they outscored them. My math is a little rusty, but 13-10. Yeah, 13-10 in the second half. That's an old school Big Ten game. But the fact that you were able to, you gave up 23 points in the first half, you only held them to 10. You only gave up 10 in the second half. That gives you a chance to win, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and I mean, I think both of us are pretty happy about that win, just because don't go Big Blue, garbage. And I think this is finally a showing sign that Harbaugh might not be there in the next couple of years. Just like he can play the bad teams and they look all right, but when they actually get into a good competition with Michigan State or Ohio State, they take L's. And
no, that's exactly what it is.
Like it's almost like he's got like Cincinnati syndrome where they get to the actual like
I love it.
I
love it.
They fall apart. Like they just don't have the consistent like playing of like, okay, we're a better team. And I feel like it's a lot of mental things going in where like they should be blowing out these teams if we're thinking classic Michigan, like Jim Carr.
Well, it's not even like, okay, some of them, yeah, they should be blowing out, right? Like Rutgers, Nebraska, they should be blowing them out. And I think what hurts them this year, especially, is that, not only did they lose to their in-state rival again, that just adds another loss to the resume for Harbaugh, is their cross-division games are the same cross-division games that Ohio State has.
Yeah.
So, Ohio State is the measuring mark for Michigan. How close are they?
Yeah.
Right. And when you beat Rutgers by, I think it was like 20-13, you scored 20 points in the first half, scored 0 in the second half, and you hold on to win 20-13, and they had a chance to tie it at the end. When you beat them by 7 at home and Ohio State goes to Rutgers and beats them by 50, that's an issue for concern, right? We saw them struggle at Nebraska. Nebraska hosts Ohio State this coming weekend. We're going to see what happens. If Ohio State doesn't struggle, then that's another Is
Oh, it's all
Harbaugh
signed
the
right there.
answer? Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing. And again, obviously, another measuring stick would be how they play against Penn State. How does Ohio State play against Michigan State? If we're not talking about the game itself, what's
Yeah.
concerning building up to the game is Ohio State has beaten the same teams that you've beaten, but
Yeah.
by a lot more. And you just lost to Michigan State following another second half collapse.
Yeah. And it's really certain. I feel like we're now finally seeing like the curtains unveiling. Like this
We're
is
seeing the max that Harbaugh can get you.
yeah.
That's the reality. Unless they
Yeah.
turn around and they smack Penn State and they shock Ohio State in the big house, which if CJ Stroud keeps playing with his thumb up his ass, it might actually happen. But I don't see that happening. I
Hopefully
see
Ryan
us.
Day also gets his head out and finally is like, hey, bud, I know
Just
you're the
just figure
starter,
it out.
but yeah, you're not producing very well. We're gonna put the other guy in, and then yeah, who knows if he'll ever get back into that starting spot because dude, some of those passes, like he,
Well, we could put a pin in it. We'll come back
yeah,
to that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
But speaking of Harbaugh, you mentioned his record isn't great,
yeah,
okay, against his rivals. So I just looked it up. So technically, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Notre Dame are their only rivals, right? Notre Dame is
yeah.
not included in this data, but with that loss to Michigan State, he is now 3-8 versus Michigan State and Ohio State. You're not even
Good,
500. I mean, you are
good.
0-6 against Ohio State. So, like, what's going on here? Like your 3 wins right there are against Michigan State.
Yeah, something is not clicking, and like dude, I don't at this point I don't know where to even start putting a pin in. They need to look at this, and this because they have the talent.
Oh,
It's literally
for
just they
sure.
aren't like finishing. They're not. They come out strong. They hit good first,
It,
second
it
quarter, but
that's
then
what
after
always
second quarter, it's
happens.
like, oh well, we looked pretty good the first half. Just kind of ease up, boys. Kind of let them pull through. Let them get the win.
Sorry, I misspoke. It's with that loss 3-9 against Michigan State and Ohio State combined.
Nice,
That's just
nice.
that's just awful. I mean, here's his record against Michigan State alone. He's 3-4. So, in 2014, lost to Michigan State 35-11. And then 2015, 27-23. If I remember correctly, that was the muffed punt that ended up getting blocked and run back as the game
Yes,
expired,
sir.
which fantastic. Then they went to East Lansing. They beat them in 16, 32-23, lost 14-10, beat them 21-7, smacked them 44-10. Then last 2 years, lost 27-24 and 37-33.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are close games. You got to figure out how to win these close games, though. I mean, that's the issue here.
Yeah, and if they would have won, if they would have like pulled through with those last minute, like, oh, let's hold them, or hey, let's not turn the ball over on a last minute punt, or no, was it a field goal or a punt?
It was a punt.
It was a punt, yeah. So like, dude,
I just love that there was another, because you probably didn't see it, but there was in the fourth quarter a muffed punt by Michigan that resulted in him, like, instead of trying to get it off, running for the first down and getting tackled a yard short. And I was just like, this is deja vu. It's in East Lansing.
all over again.
It is amazing. But I think we're on the right path of, if I was the Michigan AD, which I laughed at this in the spring when I saw it. You gave an extension to your football coach, but you're paying him half of what you did on his last contract. You said, hey, your coaching has been so bad that we're going to cut your pay in half. You were making $8 million. Now you're making $4 million.
Yeah.
And which is still like absurd because I mean, I think just in general, coaches making multi-million dollars on student athletes is kind of crazy, but that's whatever. But your pay got cut in half because you were coaching so bad. but yet you extended him.
Yeah,
You know he's not up to par.
yeah. And what, he's been their head coach for what, 6 years now?
This is his 7th year.
7th year. Yeah.
This is
So
his 7th year. 7th
we've
year. They
seen what
haven't
he
been
can
to the
put
Big Ten
together.
championship. Yeah, they haven't been
Yeah.
to the Big Ten championship. They have yet to win the East. They have yet to get the college football playoff. And you hired him. Let's be reality. The reality is you hired him to beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
That's why he's there. And maybe this is the year. I'm not leaning towards it, but something needs to, if I'm a Michigan alum, if I'm a Michigan booster, like I love Harbaugh as a player because, you know, he sent us to the Rose Bowl and whatnot,
Yeah.
but he is not getting the job done. And you
Yeah.
got to look in the mirror and be like, it's time to move on. I don't know who's out there, but it's time to move on. And we got to get somebody else out here because this culture, we're wasting talent.
Yeah. Honestly,
we're wasting talent.
Here's like a little like maybe possible prediction. What if the only reason Michigan State or Michigan extended his contract was because they have no one in mind, or they have someone in mind, but their contract ends like after his does?
I think it would make more sense the first thing that you said, that they don't have anybody, like they don't know who to go to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big thing is they had, a former player in Harbaugh, you know, who was a golden boy when he was here. Like, let's go get him, make him the coach. He went to the Super Bowl with a crappy quarterback of Colin Kaepernick. Don't come at me. He sucks. Get out of here. But he's overrated as hell. And his new Netflix show sucks. So, but they're seeing that and they're like, hey, you know, he was able to go to the Super Bowl with a subpar quarterback. Okay. Because they know that Kaepernick's not an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady. Like, he led them to a Super Bowl. They didn't win. Okay. But they got there.
Yeah.
And he played at Michigan. So they're like, you know, let's bring him back. But at this point, I think they don't have anybody in mind. They don't have anybody. Nobody's out there. Nobody's been recently let go. Like, you're not going to go after Coach O. He just said he's retiring. You're not going to go after Les Miles. Nobody's going to touch him.
Yeah.
Like, the USC coach, I'm pretty sure I just heard that USC coach already got hired as Georgia Southern. But there's nobody out there unless Dan Mullen gets fired. But I don't think you want to touch him either because he basically led Florida into a spiral downhill. Like,
there's really no current college coaches that you could really like pull and put on your team. You'd almost have to pick a like you're gonna have to go offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator who's ready to take on the challenge,
responsibilities.
Coach, you know, there's like the market's dry right now, and
it really is. It's the driest I think we've ever seen it.
Yeah, which I mean, it's kind of nice because we're seeing teams actually get built instead of watching teams like, oh, we're gonna hire this coach. He's gonna be the coach for the next like 2 years and then get rid of him.
We're not seeing a bunch of Tennessees and Texas right now.
Yeah, it's more, hey, we're gonna hold on to this guy, see what he can do for us, and then like if he can't get it done, then we're getting rid of him. And I mean, Harbaugh's in that boat. We're trying to get rid of him, but there's just no one to replace the spot.
There's not a better option. That's what's scary. There's not a better option out there. On the flip side, because I think we're in agreement that Harbaugh is not the answer, but you don't have anybody else. So you're just going to continue to see this. I mean, I saw a statistic that he is now on the road against top-rated teams, you know, ranked teams. He's 2-9. Yeah. So he can't win on the road. No, if you want to be a competitor, you can't win on the road. But like you can take some L's here and there. Urban Meyer took some L's here and there. That's fine. It happens. But you can't consistently do it.
Yeah.
On the other side of the field, you had Mel Tucker, who I'll admit, they hired him. And I said, you hired who? Like, you hired who? And Michigan State last year was dog shit. I mean, let's be honest. They were awful last year. And just to see how everybody has bought into that culture. Yeah. And they're back to their roots. And he brought them back. You know, that's impressive. I think that says so much to me. But again, they have Ohio State on the schedule in a couple weeks. So we'll see how legit they actually are. But I think they're trending upward. I think recruits are going to be like, yeah, let me go look at Michigan State again. You know, because the media, ESPN was trashing them. There was like, this was the first time in so many years that Michigan State did not get a guy drafted. You know, The narrative
But that's
was
not
Michigan
the
State
big
sucks.
thing though. Like it doesn't matter if guys are getting drafted from your school. The main thing is, hey, here's our schedule, and we're winning all of our games. Where
But
like,
drafting is part of it because you're gonna say, "Hey, look at this development." I mean
yeah,
that's why before every single home game, Ohio State does a, "Hey, here's all the highlights of our guys currently playing the NFL. Here's their stats from last week. Here's all
yeah,
this stuff," and then it ends up saying developed here with a Buckeye leaf where Columbus is on the state of Ohio,
yeah,
because that is an important part, especially in today's day and age. Back like a decade ago, it's, well, we win games, that's all that matters.
yeah.
But now we're in a society where you're not just playing for your team,
It's
you're
kind of
getting to the next
selfish a little
level.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah, but that's where we are.
yeah,
You got to plug the whole, look at this many first round draft picks, this many second round. Look at how, I mean, that's the one thing that I said last week: Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, they can hang their hat on the fact that you can field a 53 active man roster in the NFL. Those are the only three teams that can do it. And they can hang their hat on and say, we will develop you. And
yeah,
hopefully Michigan State will get back to that, because Michigan State used to be like that.
yeah.
I mean, let's not forget that Le'Veon Bell went to Michigan State.
Go.
Okay.
Honestly, probably one of the best running backs to be in the Big Ten.
And he was gonna go to Ohio State, but Ohio State wanted him to play safety and he wanted to be a running back.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, people like that went to Michigan,
Yeah.
right? Or Michigan State. I mean, people like that always go to Michigan. They have
Yeah.
good talent, but they just waste it.
Yeah.
So I think Mel Tucker's on the right. I don't think they're gonna beat Ohio State. They're on the right path though. They're not gonna beat them this year, but it's gonna be competitive. And I'm circling that game next year at East Lansing. Okay, I want to
Yeah.
see that.
I mean, honestly, at this point, I think it's time to. Do you know how much Harbaugh's extent, or how many years it was for?
No, I don't care enough about
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Well, whenever that is up, or even before, if there's a better option, drop Harbaugh.
I
Get
would
rid
cut
of
my
Coach.
losses now. If
Yeah.
a better option comes up today or tomorrow, I'd drop my. I'd cut my losses.
Yeah, but
So
I mean, a lot of it's, we can still ride the, he was a Michigan alum, so yeah,
yeah,
and he did great things in the NFL, but yeah, as a college coach, he's not cutting it, especially if you want Michigan to be at the same level as Ohio State, which
hmm
frankly they haven't
which
been at for the past couple of years.
no, I mean the thing is, you look on paper and you're like, hey, that's they're pretty darn close, and then you see it in real life and you're like, holy crap.
Yeah. and-
I mean, there's good players at Michigan. This is a great segue because I want to get into some of those players real quick before we transition to Ohio State and focus
yeah.
on the stuff that we love. Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan is a monster. If you haven't watched him play, number 97. Okay, I call him their version of the Bosa's. Okay, he wears 97. The only thing I don't like about him, he guaranteed at the beginning of the season, he said, this is going to be the year that we beat Ohio. Well, that's great if you beat OU, but you're not beating Ohio State. I love that they call us Ohio State. Or Ohio. Like, no, there's actually a school called Ohio. But nice try. Maybe that's why you go to Michigan, because your intelligence isn't that high.
Yeah. Like,
But it's fine. But he's a great player. Absolutely. Like, if you were to add him to Ohio State's roster today, their defense would be better than Georgia's.
yeah.
Okay, that's how good he is, because then you would pair him with Zach Harrison and Javonte John Baptiste and JTT, Jack Sawyer, Tyreek Smith, Tyler Friday, who's out for the whole season, which is awful. And I think we're seeing that like late in the games, how that kind of gets them a little bit. Guys are stepping up. Aiden Hutchinson is their go-to guy. And if you can't block him, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Michigan State figured out a way to block him, but it took the whole first half. Because that first half, he was getting in there, causing fumbles, taking sacks. He is legit. I see him going in the first round. Okay. Because I truly believe that he is on that Bosa level. It's just he's at Michigan, so I don't know how much of a hype he's going to get. The dude is legit.
Yeah. I mean, if you can stick out on a team, like, I mean, as much as we're kind of shitting on Michigan,
Well,
like
I don't think we're shitting on Michigan. I think we're shitting
yeah,
on Harbaugh. I mean, that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
difference here.
Like Michigan's like they're actually a good team, good like
They
personnel,
have
but
they
like
have good guys. I
when
mean,
it comes down to it, like he's probably not going to get as much traction just because, he's not the number one school in the division.
mhm.
They lost to Michigan State. They're on a down streak. So I mean,
Oh,
at this
a
like
down streak of one.
no, I mean like as far as like I'm thinking like based on like when they were actually like really good and like
Oh, okay.
it was actually like, oh, we have Michigan this week, guys. Like it's actually like, oh, they'll win one year, we'll win the next year, they'll win one year,
Yeah,
we'll
I
win the
got you.
next.
I got you.
But like now it's just like, oh hey, we're playing Michigan. As long as we show up to play, we gotta win. Like
I mean, yeah,
it's kind of what it's coming to at this point, just because like the talent is there, just the coaching, I feel the development, the
yeah.
everything that you need to be that top school, it just isn't there. And if they can adjust their coaching staff to meet criteria where their players are advancing at a higher rate, then they
Mhm.
are a top contender in the Big Ten. They already have the personnel. It's just developing them into that top tier prospect for the NFL.
Oh, absolutely. And I just, where did the other guy go? Okay. So another guy I want to hit a spotlight for Michigan, which is very rare because, as you know, I hate them. Um, David Ojabo, I think is how you say. He's a linebacker, but he's really not. He's kind of like Rashad Perry, if you remember him. He's
Yeah.
stand up linebacker rushing from the edge, like DeMarcus Ware. Um, he's really good. I think that will be the matchups. Those two guys on defense will be the matchups that we're going to watch when Ohio State plays them,
Yeah.
because Michigan State was able in the second half to figure them out.
Yeah.
Because typically they're on either sides. I think it'd be really cool from a football fan standpoint. Put them on the same side, see what happens.
Ooh.
Have them rush from the same
Dude,
side. What
that'd be
what does the
gross.
offensive line do? I mean, take a play out of Ohio State's playbook, right? Like we used to
Yeah.
do that all the time. It's like, hey, Darren Lee, Joey Bosa, you're on the same side of the line. Go rush. Go get the
Yeah.
quarterback.
And then
And
it's literally just like, okay, which one do we think we can hold longer than the other? Let's
like,
put the focus on
you can't
the
double
other
team
one.
both of
Yeah.
them, and that's the thing is I think this guy's a little bit more of the cheat code than some of our linebackers because he's standing at 6'5", 250. He is a defensive end, but he plays linebacker.
Yeah.
And then Aiden Hutchinson is
Ooh.
6'6", 280. So, I mean, you're talking about now he's listed at linebacker. Ajabo he's a defensive end, but if they're going to run that 3-4 scheme and he's going to be that roaming linebacker that just rushes, if they're on the same side, I don't know. Our O
Yeah.
line needs to pick it up right now.
Yeah.
There have been times where they're a little faulty. I don't know if I trust them. I think they could win the line of
I
scrimmage for a
mean,
little
if
bit.
anything though, we might get like a shot to see the other quarterbacks at Ohio State.
uh, Potentially.
Potentially. I
Before we
mean,
get there, um, I think we both talked about. We kind of touched on the last episode, the running back for Michigan State. I want to highlight him because that dude is just a dog. Kenneth Walker III. In case you guys missed it, he is the reason why Michigan State won.
yeah.
Okay, he had 23 carries. On those 23 carries, he averaged 8.6 yards per carry, coming to a total of 197 yards rushing. Oh, and he scored all 5 touchdowns for Michigan State. Dude is a beast. And I think that's what happened in the second half is the O-line for Michigan State were able to contain Hutchinson of Jabo, and
Yeah.
Walker just ran free.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally what it was, because once those two were taken care of, it was over. Like, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
Michigan State literally just showed, okay, so once we figure out these two guys, you guys don't really have anything that's like a bit major threat. So like we're keeping the pressure off of our quarterback. We're handing
Mhm.
the ball off to our running back. He's destroying your box. Like, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
he's a good size. Like
Yeah, that's what I'm looking up right now.
He's
He
not.
well, he is he's not like Derrick Henry. He's not 6'3". He's 5'10", but he's 210,
Yeah,
and you can tell it's straight muscle.
yeah. Like he's
He
quick.
big guy.
Like he's not necessarily like, oh, I'm gonna plow you over. Like I'm gonna just like run over you guys. He is
He
quick, small, and agile. Like
he reminds me. So he's not a Master Teague. He's not going to run you over, right? Like Master Teague's a bowling ball that's going to run you over. But he's not as agile as J.K. Dobbins or Travion Henderson. However, he's I think he's more in that group than he is the bowling ball group.
yeah, yeah, I'd agree.
Like he's got a little pep in his step. He can make you miss. He can little do a shake and bake, but he will run you over
Yeah,
if needed. He just doesn't. He's not like Master Teague where he's like, okay, where's the linebacker? I'm going to run you over just to make a
yeah.
statement.
He's like, hmm, you're okay. Yep, 45's the biggest. All right, let's go, guys. We're running to the right today. Like I don't know. He gives off that vibe of
He's a
like,
winner.
yeah, like
That's what it is.
he
I mean,
wakes up in
he's
the
a
morning.
grinder.
He pisses excellence. Let me tell you,
This is
bro.
excellent.
Like it's one of those things where like if he was at Ohio State, I think he would be a starting running back. He would be the starting running back, if in my opinion. I'm not trying to bash Ohio State's running backs
I
because
just don't
they're all
know
solid running backs, but
well, Travion Henderson's like stupid good. I think that's the
yeah,
only thing. I
but
think it would be more because right now what we're seeing at Ohio State is Travion Henderson. He's the one back. Like he has
yeah,
clearly shown that he's the one. But Master Teague, when healthy, still gets some carries. Mayan Williams still gets some carries. It's not really like a 50-50 like we saw with Mike Weber and J.K. Dobbins when
yeah,
J.K. was a freshman. So I think it would be more of like that 50-50 where
yeah.
Trayvon Henderson, Kenneth Walker would get equal carries. Um,
But imagine this, all right, both of them on the field same time, like triple option. That's a wrap. That's a wrap.
triple
That's
option.
game. That is game right there.
I'll raise you one more. Your fullback and a triple option. Ready? Instead of it being a fullback, it's Master Teague. No, I mean, I think we're on the same page that Kenneth Walker, he's a guy that you guys you want to circle. You want
Yeah,
to circle Michigan State games. They got two big ones this weekend at Purdue. That's going to be a lot tougher than people think,
yeah,
especially after looking at
100%
their
agree.
schedule. They haven't blown anybody out, so I think
Yeah,
it is going to be a lot closer than people think. Last time I checked, they're only a 3-point favorite.
yeah, and Purdue's one of those
Um,
sleeper teams where like if you're not
it's
showing up to
Purdue and
play
Iowa.
at
Purdue and
at
Iowa
their house,
at
it's a
oh
game.
my
It's a
gosh,
game.
it's a shit show, right? Like
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. You can be ranked number one in the nation. You go into their place, and it's gonna be a dogfight.
yeah.
They're just those teams. They make it that way. I don't know what it is.
I think it's the
Um,
whole aspect of, hey, we're at home. We don't show weakness at home.
they're great
Like,
home teams. They are
like,
great home
but
teams,
then
and that's
they
why
play
I'm
on the road and it's like, there's
well.
my mom got, oh, wait, we're playing football. Like,
Well, that's why I'm glad Ohio State got Purdue at home in
yeah,
Columbus. And it's after Purdue plays Michigan State, where I think Purdue can upset Michigan State, get ranked, just add another win or
yeah,
add another ranked win to Ohio State's resume. But definitely circle Michigan State's games,
oh,
especially
yeah,
against Ohio State. That's going to be a matchup to watch. Kenneth Walker versus the front seven Ohio State, which keep getting better every single week. The big takeaway, because I'm pretty much done with Michigan State, but the big takeaway I took from the game, both teams are one dimensional.
yeah,
What I saw in the game is, and like I can look up the stats and I see that Michigan had 100 rushing yards. Okay. I see that they got there. They are a pass first team.
yeah,
They don't have a back like Travion Henderson or Kenneth Walker. Okay. That Ohio State and Michigan State have. They don't have that go-to guy. They don't have that blanking on the Minnesota running back who unfortunately tore his Achilles and is out for the year when he tore it against Ohio State. But that dude is legit too. Like, that's so unfortunate because I think Minnesota would have ran away with the West
oh, yeah,
easily if he was their running back. They probably could have beaten us in week one if he was in the whole game because
yeah,
he's legit. But Michigan doesn't have that running back. They don't recruit that kind of running back. That's
yeah,
just Harbaugh. Okay, that comes back to Harbaugh. They are one dimensional. So when it comes to, because I'm viewing this as an Ohio State viewpoint, when it comes to beating Michigan, your secondary has to continue getting better. Because if
Yeah.
you can lock down their top receiver, they don't have anything else. Our front seven is good enough to stall them at the line. Okay. It's just going to be that secondary. Looking at Michigan State, they are one
Run game.
dimensional. They can't throw the ball. Okay. They'll bomb it downfield here and there, but I feel like that's their MO. That's always been
Yeah.
their MO, right? I mean, even with D'Antonio, they're run first. If you stop their running back, they don't have a quarterback that can beat you in the air. They don't have skilled receivers that can beat you in the air.
Yeah.
So they're
It's one
both
of
one
those.
dimensional.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like they almost just are opposing sides to each other.
Mm-hmm.
That if you would just mesh them together, you would have a
You'd have a super team.
yeah, like
You'd have a super team of the state of Michigan. I mean, that's
yeah,
reality. And they both have good defenses, but they both, you know, they have issues on defense that I think Ohio State's offense can exploit.
yeah,
Just because Ohio State's offense is that good.
yeah.
Uh,
They're very situational. They know, okay, this team's good with X, Y, and Z.
mhm.
We have to prepare for that, and then they prepare for it in that game, and then like they handle it. Like it's
Yeah.
not like, oh, hey guys, we gotta watch their defensive ends this week. And yeah, and then they just don't stop them until whenever. Like it's and it comes down to the coaching. Like I
Mhm.
know Michigan State's kind of a younger kind of team as far as like coaching. They're still like building up,
Oh yeah.
which like I don't see them slowing down. Like if they lose to Ohio State this year, next year is just going to be
It's
a
a
harder
win-win.
game. Yeah,
It's a win-win as long as it's close. If it's a
yeah,
close game against Ohio State, it's a win-win because
yeah,
either you beat them or you lose close. If you get
yeah,
blown out, then it's kind of like, let's see how you finish the season,
yeah,
right? I mean, that's the reality of it.
yeah. And then you look at Michigan, and it's like, okay, your coach is like, they're just running out of like heat for to be able to say, hey, we're a good team on paper. We're decent, but
Mhm.
like most of our wins are from like no ranked teams, and when we do play those ranked teams, we can't
Yep.
compete at that level.
Unfortunately, that's the MO for them.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, though, shifting to the best team.
Oh wait.
Yeah, I am the best team in the Big Ten. I don't care that Michigan State's 8-0. They're losing. This is
Oh
not
yeah.
Sparta.
Mm-mm.
There was a little scary Saturday night. In case you guys missed it, Penn State came to play. The Penn State that we saw, and I'll go on the record. I said I think we'll beat them by 20. Okay, and of course that was just me being stupid and not realizing that Penn State always shows up to play against Ohio State.
Yeah.
But what I saw in that game was this is the Penn State that we expected to see all year.
Yeah.
Like, where was this against Illinois? Where was this when they were struggling against some no names? Like, where was this against Iowa? Like, how did you not hold on? Like, I know they lost Clifford in the Iowa game, and that's why Iowa
Yeah.
won. Like that's exactly why Iowa won that game. But this was the Penn State team that we expected all year long.
Yeah.
And
And
they gave
like,
Ohio State a run for the money.
yeah. I was kind of on the same boat as you where I was like, okay, we're definitely gonna see kind of a blowout here. But
I
watching the
give Penn State
game,
credit. I
I
give
was
them
just
credit.
like, what? Mind you, I was building furniture for most of the game, so I checked in at like the last half, roughly, kind of.
Yeah, I remember those Texas.
Yeah. From what I saw,
You just go for
quarterback
it. Just go for
situation
it.
needs to get figured out here at Ohio State. Like I don't know what was going on in his head, but like I saw him literally miss a wide open receiver thrown in 5 yards short.
On a fourth down.
Yeah.
On a fourth down.
Hey, bud.
No, I mean,
You got to make those passes. Especially if you want to be QB1 at the Ohio State University. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
um,
uh,
at this point, I am ready to have Ryan Day open up the floor. Nebraska's next week.
yeah, at
Wait, Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Yep. Noon kick.
Yep. I want to see some backups. Straight up. I want to see what we got.
Well, I think you should. Okay. You can't just say backups because let's dive into this. Wide
Yep.
receivers are fine, right? I
Well,
mean,
yeah, not necessarily
they're-
like wide receivers. I'm specifically
what
saying I want to see another
you want
quarterback in
to
the pocket.
you want to see Kyle McCord or Jack
Yes,
Miller is what
Kyle
you want to
McCord.
see.
Kyle McCord.
Uh,
Kyle McCord.
and I mean, I'll piggyback on this and say, if you watch that game, like you can look at the statistics. I'm looking at it right now. Sean Clifford, for Penn State threw 361 yards. They had, oh my gosh, what was the total? I think like 19 total rushing yards. So they were very one-dimensional. Ohio State made them one-dimensional. Said you're gonna have to pass, you're gonna have to throw for 600 yards in order to beat us. And let's be, that looks terrible when you see, oh wow, the team threw for 361 yards. Ohio State's defense came up with big stops.
Yeah.
The defense showed up when it needed to. And you can look at the statistics on the other side and say, oh, CJ Stroud threw for 305 yards and a touchdown. Not the 400 plus yards and like 3 touchdowns. But if you watched it, okay, that's the thing. If you look at statistics, it's like, okay, he didn't have his best game, but he still had a good game. Yeah. If you watched it, it was every single play. He was missing guys wide open underneath. He was refusing to run for the first down. He didn't want to leave his pocket. And when they would do the zoom in, he just looked lost. He looked lost and he looked like he was about to cry every single play. And I think it's, it might be unfair to say, oh, well, Justin Fields wasn't like that, but that's the standard you're living to now.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the reality is Justin Fields is the best quarterback to have played for Ohio State. I know Troy Smith won the Heisman, but Justin Fields was the best pure quarterback. That is the standard now. And if you're not close to that, people are going to notice.
Yeah.
And the thing is, statistically, you're on pace to break his stuff. But when you watch the game, it just looked like he regressed. He was throwing balls behind guys, right? I don't know how many balls were thrown where the receiver turned and had to catch it on his back shoulder. Yeah. You mentioned the 4th down where he threw it 5 yards shorts and Chris Olave just stood there like, what the hell did you want me to do with that? Yeah. He's making the same mistakes that he was making in the first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I just think he needs to figure out like, hey, I realize I'm in a under pressure like situation. We're playing a decent team. He can't collapse like that. He needs to be confident in his abilities and go for it. Because seeing a 22 for 34 completion rate, bud, like I get, oh yeah, you threw for 305 yards, but you also got to think Henderson only ran for 152 yards. And
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, like I'm not trying to shit on him, but like, he can definitely run for 200, like hands down. Like
it's just
so for every like 2 misses for CJ, give Henderson the ball because obviously just, like it's just the pressure. I feel like he's in the pocket and he's like not sure, like it's just got those jitters. He either needs to take a big hit and like get his shit rocked to be like, okay, I just gotta be.
I don't know. I don't know if that would help.
It'll probably just take him out of the game, which I'd be
spiral.
Okay with.
It would spiral downhill. That's the thing though. You mentioned confidence. Like it's natural when you're going up. Penn State's a top 10 defense. Yeah, they are every year. So it's natural to have those jitters of, man, I'm facing a really good team. I got to make sure my A game's here. And, there were times where Justin Fields, you could see he started slow. Dwayne Haskins started slow. JT Barrett started slow multiple times. But you know what JT Barrett was? He was a winner.
Yeah.
Okay. Dwayne Haskins, he found a way to win. I know he's struggling in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Mental stuff, off the field issues. But when he was at Ohio State, he was a winner. JT Barrett's the hallmark example, and then Justin Fields is right there with him. Justin Fields willed his way to beat Clemson.
Yeah.
But it's just the mentality. Like, you can see the mentality of CJ Stroud. He doesn't look like a winner. He doesn't have that leader mentality. You can, like, natural leaders, JT Barrett, Justin Fields, those are guys I want to go into battle with. CJ Stroud, it's natural to be scared and to be a little intimidated by a good defense, but you can't collapse. And if you can't hold your compression, like if you can't compose yourself against those teams, then I don't trust you going up against a Michigan State defense that's going to blitz the shit out of you. I don't trust you going up against a Michigan defense with Ojabo and Hutchinson, who are coming to rip your head off in the big house. I just don't think he has that mentality. He doesn't have that switch that makes him a winner.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we also have to take into consideration, he is a younger quarterback. So like, but still, if you're going to be number one,
JT Barrett had to do it as a freshman. JT Barrett had to do it as a freshman. Like,
quarterback, you need to step up to the plate and actually handle what's going on. Cause like,
yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying.
Like,
I get
that's literally all it is. He's showing his fear and he's not taking,
but he's showing it too much, and the defense is the defense is sniffing it, man. They're showing it too much. I get what you're saying. Like, he is a younger guy. He has to feel everything out. But it is unfair that the two examples that we're living up to are JT Barrett and Justin Fields.
Yeah.
We want him to have the Justin Fields statistics and the Justin Fields, picking plays apart and everything, and just the athleticism combined with a little bit of the JT Barrett mentality. I mean, JT Barrett had to figure it out as a freshman. He lost to Virginia Tech. He didn't lose to Oregon. He lost to Virginia Tech and had to rally the troops in order to go win the national championship. So it is unfair that the leadership that he's expected to do is JT Barrett and that the athleticism is Justin Fields. But guess what? You came to Ohio State. You got to deal with it. I mean, your expectation is up here. I mean, it's Ohio State.
He is a younger quarterback. So like, it wouldn't hurt to pull him out, have him sit on the sideline to like actually watch.
Like, I just think it's too late. It's too late in the season.
I mean, dude,
I get what you're saying.
Cardale Jones, fight me.
Okay.
Cardale Jones.
I mean,
Cardale Jones.
But that wasn't a benching.
We hire freaking the best of the best, and if number one ain't doing it, number two can for sure do it. Like,
I mean,
we have the depth in the quarterbacks, like, to be able to go ahead and put in a number two and see what he can do in the pocket. And I get, yes, it is later in the season. And yes, like CJ does have these wins from the teams, but once he gets into a situation where, oh shit, we're playing a decent team, he kind of loses it. Like, and I don't know if that's
I think
from
this
him being
week
young and not like being 100% confident in his abilities.
He might just be mentally tough. I'm mentally not tough. That might be what it is. His personality is. No, I do get what you're saying, Cardale. I feel like that is a little bit different because it's like JT wasn't benched. It was he broke his ankle, so you have to do it. So it's kind of like the offense. It's like, well, we're gonna do it with you. Not, oh my God, did you see him get bent? Like you know what I mean? Like there's a slightly different mentality around it.
Like
I think it's warranted.
Yeah, like
I personally watching the game, I think is warranted.
Check on, hey, you might be QB1 right now, but if you don't step up to play, you're not going to be QB1.
Yeah, this is Ohio State.
He's playing as if, yes, I am QB1. I will stay QB1, but he's not showing he is QB1.
Well, and what doesn't help is they're on social media. They're watching ESPN. He is, last time I checked, he's the Heisman front runner because of statistics. So he thinks that his job is safe. I think, now diving into it this week, because at Nebraska is no easy task. Nebraska plays well at home. It's loud. They love their football, even though they suck with Scott Frost, and his days are numbered there. if he comes out flat against Nebraska, you gotta try Kyle McCord.
Yeah.
You have to.
That's what it is. Like, he needs to realize, like, okay, you might be a Heisman runner, but that doesn't mean shit. If you're
Go
not
ask Rattler.
if you're
Go
not
ask
playing.
Spencer Rattler at OU.
Yeah.
He was playing like shit, and guess what? He's on the bench now. Now their offense is going so much better.
Yeah.
No, I think this is the week to do it. If you're going to do something, it has to be this week, and it's got to be quick. It's got to be, okay, you looked flat for the first 2-3 series, you're done. See ya.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to try somebody else. We got to get a spark. But if it's not this week, if you don't do it this week, you got to ride with Stroud to the end.
Yeah. And
I think that's what it has to be.
But if you ride that route, you got to realize, okay, if we play any
We
kind of
might be
competition,
losing the last
yeah.
2 games. We might be losing the last 2 games of the season. Yeah.
Because
No,
I mean,
I'm aware of that. I'm just saying that if you don't make a change this week, I think you have to ride him out.
Because last
And
2
then
games, you got Michigan State, their defense,
and Michigan,
you
Michigan
gotta
State
be
and
ready
Michigan.
for that.
You got them back to back.
You got to be able to hold the defense. Like, dude, and I don't think CJ gives off the vibe of, I'm going to stay in this pocket and take the sack rather than try and throw it away or try and make a play after
I
that.
love the play of, let me scramble. Okay, I'm extending. I'm looking down. Oh, let me run out of bounds. Instead of throwing the ball for a no loss, let me run out of bounds for a 3 loss.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
He doesn't have that field awareness that he needs.
He really doesn't.
Number 1 quarterback.
No, and that's what concerns me, is that, like, okay, so it's either you like CJ Stroud and that's why he was number 1. That's why you put him, or Kyle McCord and Jack Miller are not as good as everyone says they are. Like, which one is it? Because what I'm seeing on the field is a quarterback that's racking up really good numbers because his receivers are stupidly good.
Yeah.
I mean, his receivers and tight ends are insane. His running backs, all of them can catch the ball and just get loads of yards at a time. So, like, I don't see him doing anything special. All the throws down, I think I've seen him make 3 good throws downfield, like legitimately downfield, like what Justin Fields tried to do. So,
and, like, I'm thinking of this as the idea of, if CJ was playing at Michigan State, would he be a good quarterback?
Well, that's tough to say because that's a whole completely different system. I think he would fit into the stereotypical Michigan State quarterback that's a pocket passer. You have no threat of running. He'd be better than what they normally have.
See, and looking at that though, I'm seeing, like, he doesn't have the wide receiver core that he would have at Ohio State, where it's just literally talent on top of talent, and then just like a little more talent at the end.
I mean, when your number 4 receiver transfers to Bama and becomes the number 1, you know that your room's pretty good.
Yeah.
So
if he doesn't have the wide receiver core, do you think he is still a top quarterback?
If he doesn't have Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Jeremy Rucker as his top 4 targets, he sucks. Like, that's the thing. Like, I mean, you're giving me Julian Fleming. like the backups are pretty good for Ohio State, but I get what you're saying. If he doesn't have 2 first-round receivers and a early second-round tight end, he's not putting up the numbers that he does, because that's the thing we've talked about all season. A bunch of his touchdowns come from a slant. It's a quick slant that Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson or Jackson Smith then catches it, makes a guy miss, and he's off to the races.
Yeah.
But speaking of those guys, I personally feel awful for Chris Olave, because he was a first-round draft pick last year. He was projected to go in the first round, and now he is he's the number 1 receiver. Like, we all know he's the number 1 receiver, but CJ Stroud rarely throws him the ball, and if he does throw him the ball, it's almost never catchable. Yeah. If I remember correctly, he had 3 receptions against Penn State. You're telling me that you're 3 receptions for 44 yards and a touchdown, 3 receptions. And I remember at one point we're watching the game, and it was like 5 targets on the day, and he had 0 receptions, 5 targets. And Jordan looks at me and goes, how many of those targets were actually catchable? And the answer was one.
Yeah.
Like, that's the issue, is that Chris Olave, like Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith-Njigba are fantastic, but you literally had a dude come back to try to win an actual championship, and you're not even targeting him, and teams aren't double teaming him.
Yeah. They are
So
literally leaving him wide open to be like, hey, we're gonna leave you this weapon to just destroy us with. Use
because
it
we
at
don't,
your risk,
because
you know.
well, you're not going to do it. We're
Yeah.
calling your bluff is that you're not going to hit him. So I don't know if there's like something going on with Chris Olave and CJ Stroud. Maybe Chris Olave thought that Jack Miller was going to be the starting quarterback, or Kyle McCord. Like, I don't know if he has more chemistry with somebody else. Okay. And I don't want to put that out there and people be like, oh, well, you know, there's this rumor. I don't know what's going on,
Yeah.
but it appears that they are not on the same page, because you can tell the frustration in Chris Olave's face, because last 3 years, he is constantly smiling. And this year, he is dead face.
Yeah.
He is pissed off at the world. He is frustrated, and rightfully so. His talent is being wasted this year.
If anything, if he would, so instead of Ohio State's number 4 receiver, you know, going to Bama, Chris Olave go to Bama, just
Lord.
to come back and bite, just to come back and be like, hey, so CJ, if you would have hit me as a receiver,
well, he's done. Like,
stunting on you, hoes. Yeah, no, he's done.
He's done. He's done. You're just saying, like principle. If that happened,
yeah, if that happened, then he would be. If he was at Bama or any other school right now, he would be targeted every time they were passing. He would be the number 1 go-to. Where I feel,
yeah, I mean, he'd be very
CJ,
similar to
like,
Devontae Smith.
Oh, he's open, triple coverage. And it's like,
he has thrown a lot of passes in double and triple coverage. Right. It's just watching the game makes no sense. Like, I'm just like, what are you like? It's at this point, I'm not even like mad watching it.
Yeah.
I'm just confused.
yeah,
Because in the beginning of the season, I was like, what are we doing? And now I'm just like, can I just get in your brain, please? Because I just want to know
like what's going through your head.
What's going on. So last thing that I want to touch on about Ohio State, because we are getting up there in time and we both want to get out of here. You know, sorry, we can't just talk forever. One thing I've been noticing is the offensive line for Ohio State, the inconsistencies.
Yep.
I think, you know, diving into that, I think that comes from the fact that there are 4 offensive tackles on the offensive line. I think that's why CJ Stroud has so much time in the pocket, is because they're all great pass rushers. But I also think that's why we struggle to get the rushing game going.
Yeah.
I personally love Matt Jones. I think he is, you know, he's a fighter. And what I've noticed, like, I think it was 2 games ago, when they started cycling him in at guard, and it was kind of like every time he was in, it was a run play. It was like Travion hit a hole like that.
Yeah.
Like, it was ridiculous watching that. So, like, I get why, like, you want your 5 best offensive linemen out there and you want to keep people happy. But at the same time, like, if you want to balance, you know, offensive attack, don't we need some guards? Like, don't we need some offensive guards that can actually push that pile and get up to the second level and attack those linebackers in the run game?
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of where we're lacking. And then it's also coming into, you know, the pocket time is crazy, which I feel like they're almost doing that just for CJ, just so he can stay a little calm, collected back there. But it's not working. You know, when they play that top team, Penn State, Michigan State, they can't have that same lineup in to be able to also start the run game. Because
I mean, we'll see in 2 weeks, man.
I mean,
or 3 weeks. We'll see in Michigan State. Michigan, we got them back to back.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
At this point, we can only just sit there and watch, hope for the best. But
I just have a fear.
Get it together, my God.
Yeah. I have a fear that we are seeing a culture change at Ohio State. And
Yes.
if you watch the games, Ryan Day is pissed. Ryan Day sees the issues, but they continuously don't get fixed. I mean, when he says in the press conference, when he was asked about the 4th and 5 or whatever, the 4th and whatever, and the short ball that was thrown to Olave, when he's asked about that, and he says, "Yeah, I thought we already fixed those problems."
Yeah.
I mean, that's a coach that's frustrated.
Yeah.
And so what then comes is it the culture that you're creating, or is it the culture that you're bringing in by the recruits?
Yeah.
Are you not recruiting the right guys for the culture you want? Or did you create a culture that now you're looking back and you're like, I don't know if that's in the best interest for us. So this is going to be interesting, especially I think we said next year will be the first year where it's all 4 levels of his guys.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see. I think we'll see how they finish off this year. We're gonna talk about it. We'll
Yeah.
see it
I'll be back
week to
next
week.
week to either be like, okay, we figured it out, or talk the same shit.
Yeah.
And sorry, you guys will have to hear it, but I'm hoping that it changes up and you see a change in heart, hopefully from CJ. Hopefully he can figure it out, or position change.
Yeah. I mean,
Kyle,
we'll see.
let's go.
Kyle
I'm ready.
McCord.
I'm ready. Let's get it.
Yeah. Well, we shall see when they take on the Cornhuskers at noon this Saturday. Okay, tune in,
guys. If you're not watching it, you won't understand what we're bitching about next week. So please watch it. All right.
We'll recap it. Okay, don't worry.
Don't worry. There'll be a recap, but like watch it, and then you'll feel our frustration too, and you'll be like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, and also also be on the lookout for our next episode where we will break down the madness that the NFL is finally. Okay, we finally have NFL stuff to talk about. Okay, crazy weekend, crazy week leading up to the deadline, the trade deadline. A lot of moves that were very interesting. Not really a lot of moves, a lot of talking, nothing happening, but there are some moves worth noting. And then hopefully we will be talking about the World Series being over and them cheaters getting sent home packing. Yes. So stay tuned.
Yes, because screw the Astros. Go Braves. See you guys next week. Have a good one.